Welcome back to Kidding Around. My name is Melanie Smith, and I am thrilled that you are here with me today to talk about another wonderful woman. Today we will be talking about Jane Austen, who was an author who wrote several books, including the one that I am reading. I have to tell you, it is quite a page-turner, and it is a hard one to put down. But I know that we have some great adventures ahead of us today, so I am going to put my bookmark in, and I will finish this after our lesson. All right, before we get started, if you like what you're seeing here and want to follow along with all of Kidding Around's videos, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then also, if you really enjoy what we're doing here, please make sure to share us with your friends. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on to wonderful woman Jane Austen. She was an author, and she is most well known for the 6 major novels that she wrote. You might recognize some of the titles: Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Emma. Have you heard of those? Well, if you haven't, you will definitely hear of them as you get older, and I am positive that you will also find yourself reading some of them as well. But let's talk a little bit about Jane herself. Jane Austen was born in 1775 in Steventon, Hampshire, in England. Most of the education that she received was from reading books. Her father and her father's friend had extensive libraries, and they allowed both Jane and her sister to read any book in either of their libraries. Jane's father also really encouraged her to write her own stories, and he provided her with expensive materials and paper to do just that. She got her start writing about age 11. She and her sister and her brother would write plays, and they would put those plays on in the community barn. As it became clear that she had quite a bit of talent, she decided that she wanted to try her hand at publishing a book. The problem was that books at that point could not be published by women because women were not allowed to sign contracts. So what they would do is they would have a man go and present their stories to the publishers in their stead. So Jane asked her brother to take her book to the publisher for her and sign the contract to have it published. Even though she was able to have her books published this way, she was not able to include her name as author on any of her work. They were published anonymously, and in fact, they remained known as anonymously published until after her death. After she died in 1817, her brother made sure to tell the world that the novels that had been published with his help had been written by his sister Jane. Jane Austen has been placed among the greatest writers of all time, and she was noted for the realism that she used in her story. Some critics have ranked her with Shakespeare and other, quote, fine painters of life. You can even find a picture of her on the current 10-pound note because of her contributions to society. I thought it would be completely fitting today to make a bookmark, truly a bookmark that looks a little bit old-fashioned, in honor of Jane Austen today. To do this, you will need a few supplies. You will need 2 or 3 pieces of felt. They don't have to be very big, as you can see, so scraps are fine. You will need a button with 4 holes. You will need a large paper clip, some thread, a needle, some fabric glue, and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. So the first thing that you need to do is choose your fabric. And remember, this should be felt. The reason that we're using felt is because it doesn't fray like a lot of fabrics do after it's been cut. So you won't be constantly finding strings around your bookmark. These will just stay the way that you made them. So you can decide to use any colors that you want. I have chosen blue, green, and black here because I like the black in the background, but then blue and green are our local football team. I live close to Seattle, and these are the Seahawk colors. So you can use team colors, school colors, favorite colors. It's up to you. And you don't necessarily have to use 3. You can use 2 if you would prefer. You might even be able to easily put 4 together. It's up to you. Each bookmark is going to be different, and that's what makes it great. Okay, so once you have chosen your colors, you need to figure out which one you want to be the largest circle or the back. I am going to choose the black, and I am going to make that my largest one. So I'm going to fold this over the fabric that I have because I actually want 2 circles. I have this circle that all of the fabric is on, and then I have a back circle on this that helps attach the front circle to the paper clip. So I'm folding it over so that I can cut once and get 2 circles. All right, so I'm cutting out, and I like the appearance of a hand-cut circle. So I am not going to draw out a circle before I cut on my fabric. You certainly can if you like, but I don't know, I feel something about this imperfect circle makes it feel just a little bit more like Jane Austen to me. I'm not quite sure why. Okay, so now I have my 2 circles, so I'm going to put one completely aside. I don't need to worry about that yet. This will be waiting for me later. Then, with my 2 remaining fabrics, I need to decide which one I want to be next, and I think I'll choose my blue, and then I am going to cut a circle that's a little bit smaller than my black circle, but still I want to make sure that it's not too small that I can't get my green on. So it'll be a happy medium between the black and my next circle. Now, as you see, this is too big. That covers completely the black. So now I'm going to go in and cut it down just a little bit. This is exactly the process, and I expect that you will probably have to cut a little bit extra. It's always better to cut something a little too big and be able to cut it down than to have to go the other way, because you can't add fabric once you've cut, right? All right, so I like that right there. So now I am going to take my green and cut an even smaller circle than the blue. When I'm doing this though, I'm also going to keep in mind the size of my button. I want to make sure that the green shows out from that button. So I definitely want it bigger than the button, but smaller than the blue. We're finding all of these happy mediums here, right? So cut too big if you need to, and then you can always cut down. This may be a little too big. Yep, see, it is. So now I'm going to cut it down a little bit, part of the process. Still a little too big. I'm going to do it a little bit more. Cut down, but not too much, because I want to make sure that my button still is able to be on top of the green and we can see everything. So yes, I think that that is perfect. So now I am going to try to connect all of these things together. So to do that, I am going to take some thread, and I am going to take, I don't know, what is that? Probably 3.5 or 4 feet, maybe not quite, but I'm going to take about that much. And then I am going to take my needle and put the thread through the eye of the needle. Sometimes this is somewhat hard, but sometimes just like that, it goes right through. Okay, so then I am going to put both of the ends of the thread at the same length. So I hold up my needle and even out those threads, and then I'll put my needle down and I'm going to tie my knot at the end of this thread. So to do that, I make a loop with my thread, and then I take the 2 ends of the thread and I just put it through the loop and I pull it tight. And I am actually going to do this 3 or 4 times, and I'm going to try to tie the knot in the same space every single time. This can be a learned skill. It may be a little tricky, so if you're having problems, ask a grown-up around you if they can help with that. The reason that I'm doing this 3 or 4 times is because I want to make sure that that knot is big enough that it doesn't go through my fabric. Okay, so now I have done that 4 times. I think it's a big knot. It's going to keep my fabric together well. Now I'm going to take the button and put it off on the side, and I just now have the 3 pieces of fabric that I'm holding that I'm going to sew through. So I'm going to start with my needle underneath all 3 pieces of fabric, and then I am going to poke a hole up through that fabric with my needle. I need to be careful of a few things here. I want to make sure that the fingers that are on top of the fabric holding it together, are not right above where that needle is going to come out. So I put my hand over to one side, and then I will put the needle up through the other. All right, so then once I get there, I pull the needle all the way through. I pull it taut so that the knot is right up next to the fabric. You don't want to pull super, super tight, but you want to pull tight enough that that is right up next to it, to the fabric. Then I am going to take my button and I am going to put my needle through that bottom hole, the bottom right hole, and place it where I want it on my fabric. Then I will take my needle and I will push down through the hole that is diagonally across from the hole that I just came up in. So it's just like that. We went up through this one and we're going down through this one. And once you get this stitch done, it becomes a little bit easier because your button will stay a bit more connected to the fabric. All right, we are going to do this same stitch that I just did another 3 times. So I'm going to come up through as close to the same hole as I started, and then I am going to go down through that other hole that I put the thread through the first time. So that's what it looks like. Then I'm going to do that again. I am going to try to find the hole. I will tell you, this sometimes is a little bit hard, finding the exact place to put your needle in. So sometimes I flip over the fabric and I can see where I've been, and that helps a little bit find the hole of the button. All right, so then when I pull up, again, I pull tight every single time that I make, that the needle goes through the fabric. So now I'm pulling tight there, and I'm going to go through, I'm going to do this one more time. Again, I'm going to turn over to find that hole, and then I will pull up and I will push down. Okay, now I'm on the underside of my fabric and I am going to use these holes that I haven't been using. So I'm going to come up again through the bottom hole, but the bottom hole now that I haven't used before. So I put the needle through, I try to find that buttonhole, and I find it, and then I pull up. Remember, pull tight every time, and then I am going to push the needle down through the other empty hole that is diagonally across from the hole that I just came up through. And then I am going to do this now a total of 4 times. So I'm going to do this 3 more times. Let's see if that helps me find it. It did. All right, so this is 2. And I'm pulling tight, and then I'm going to do a 3rd one, try to find that hole again. Oh my goodness. Well, this is good for you to see that it is not always easy to find, but you will always find it, I guarantee. All right, so this is my 3rd time. I have 1 more time to find that hole. Let me see if I can do it. Not very easily right now. All right, that helped. Turning it over helps. All right, so I pulled that up, and I am going to push it down now. Okay, once you have gone in these diagonal patterns 4 times, then you are going to put your needle through just the fabric on the underside. So I have it turned over. I am putting my needle back in kind of where I have put all my stitches, and I am going to push the needle through the fabric. So you can see here that it is on top of the fabric, but under the button. The step that we're going to do now is what makes the button turn easily. So I pull this out. So now this thread is coming out between the fabric and the button. And now I am going to take my thread and I am going to go around the stitches 4 times, just like this. So I've gone around once, there's a 2nd time, there's the 3rd time, and there's the 4th time. All right, now that I have done that, I am going to take my needle and I am going to push it back to the back again. So I am pushing it right in there. Can you see that? That needle is coming right out the back. And then I need to knot it. So I'm going to put a stitch in the back here close to all my other thread. So that's what I'm doing. I have put the needle in and right back out, and then I am going to pull that. Now you see my thread got kind of hung up on my fabric. That's okay. I'm just going to pull that tight a little bit. All right. Once I get it to this stage, so you see I put the stitch in and now I am controlling this loop. Before it gets much smaller than this, you want to make sure to make a stitch or make a knot. So you're going to put your needle through that loop and pull it tight. We're going to do this one more time just to make sure that the button is secure. So I'm going to put this in my fabric and bring it right back out, and then I will pull the needle, and before I pull that thread tight, I'm making this loop, and I am going to put the needle through the loop and then pull it tight then. And there you have your final knot. You can cut off your thread and you have a workable button. This is a great skill to have because if you lose a button off of a shirt, you don't want to just have to get rid of the shirt. Now you know how to sew a button on. So this can save your clothes and it can also save your money. All right. Well, now once we have this done, we are going to take our paper clip and attach this pretty design, the top of the bookmark, to our paper clip. So what we are going to do is flip over our button. So that is now face down. And then I am going to place a little bit of fabric glue right where the paper clip will go. Now we want to make sure that the paper clip has the two U's outside of your bookmark top. So just the one U, that's the, I guess it's upside down. This upside down U will go into the bookmark and these two U's will come out of the bookmark. That's so you can easily put the paper clip right on your page and slide it in just like that. Okay, so I've put just a little bit of glue there just around my paper clip, and then I am going to put glue all over this fabric. This will make it even more secure. Putting it all around, I'll put a little bit more on top of the paper clip, and then I will take that second back piece, the second piece of black that I cut, and I will put it right on top of the front of the bookmark, and then I will put this aside for probably an hour or two to let this glue completely dry, and then the reason that you put it aside is so it dries so that paper clip doesn't fall out, right? Just like it did. All right, so then you'll lay it flat for 2 or 3 hours maybe, let it completely dry, and then you will be able to use your bookmark with a button that you sewed on it for your books. These make great gifts. Do you have a teacher that you would like to give a gift to? I'm sure that they would love one of these. Well, that wraps up our discussion about Jane Austen. I think that Jane Austen would love seeing bookmarks like these, don't you think? Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for coming to learn a little bit more about this amazing author. I hope you've had as much fun as I have. Please remember that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks for kidding around with me. I will see you next time.